So the purpose of this Kingdom Youth Summit so far have been to help Christian young people and professionals and entrepreneurs to unlock their competitive advantage and begin to do things that they can do in a way that can transform their lives. And like I said on day two after yesterday, I said that one major proof of your spirituality is your ability to create solutions, to create value for other people. Because the proof of you knowing God, you see, the proof of your vertical relationship is the impact of your horizontal relationship. So if you are this way and the impact of your relationship with God is not felt by your society, as somebody said that you're practicing spiritism. And because proof of you knowing God is the exploit you can do in the lives of other people and of course in the society. And what better way can you do exploit than you being able to create value, create a solution, an idea, a product, a service, or become so good at what you do that it impacts the employer you work for, or it impacts the clients that you're serving through your business. And there is no better way for you to have that competitive advantage in the marketplace as a kingdom young person or a kingdom professional and entrepreneur if you are not able to bring that additional value into the marketplace. I always fondly say that. I think I said this in day one or day two. The marketplace does not give platforms for fools. And like I always say, if you're called a fool, being foolish is a state of being. It means that you are so inadequate in your intelligence, in your knowledge, that most of your decisions that you make in life only leads to foolish results. It means that 99% of the things that you do leads to foolishness, right? That's why they can call somebody a fool. It's a state of being, instead of being inadequate, ill-informed, without the right knowledge. When they say somebody's wise, it means that that person has grown in their knowledge acquisition and deployment of that knowledge, that 90% and above of their decisions produce profound results. That's the meaning of being wise, right? So I said earlier on that in the marketplace, and we'll talk about the marketplace, is the place where if you're going to be a person of influence, make money, build wealth, and create impact, you have to understand how the marketplace works. So the marketplace does not give platforms to fools. The marketplace gives platforms to people that have built knowledge capital, skills capital, and reputation capital. They now give you a platform, and that's how you get paid, make impact, and you become a person of influence. And like I said, in the church, you see, I grew up in the church, and it's possible to be a tongues speaking fool. You see, it's very possible though. It's possible to speak in tongues so well and know God so well, but yet you're a fool in the marketplace. And that's why you can see very broke, struggling Christians. They know God. If they die now, they'll go to heaven, but they are broke financially. Why? Because they are not able to bring something in the marketplace that can cause the marketplace to reward them. And like I say, one of the best things that can happen to you is to come to a place in your journey where money becomes a slave. You see, if you're here and you still run after money, you are reversing the God method, the kingdom method. God created this world in a way that money should be a slave to us, a slave to people. And I said, when you grow in knowledge and you grow in wisdom and you're able to deploy what you're learning, money becomes a slave to you. Show me somebody who is a person of impact and influence. I will show you somebody that money has become their slave. But if you're here, and that's why, for example, people who do things like prostitution, people who steal, people who do anything that if you tell lies, you lie in your office and you cheat and get money, you are a slave to money. You're a slave to money. And you will never get enough. That's why people like that can never be billionaires. Have you ever heard that an arm robber is a billionaire on Forbes 100 list? Have you ever heard that before? You can never hear things like that, right? Because they can never do things like that and become so wealthy that they can compare with somebody who creates value at the highest level. And in the last 2 days and today, the last day of this summit, the goal have been to bring you to this place where you are truly that kingdom person, where you are a person of impact, a person of influence, and of course, a person of income, right? And this is very important in our journey. And I'm believing that what I have in store for us today will cause another shift, another shift. If you're here for the first time, if this is your first time here in this summit, and you're watching on YouTube or not, you can ask Charisma if you're here on YouTube, and she can give you the link to the YouTube channel, and you can go there and watch day one and day two. Because what I'm covering on day three, I am building up on what I did on day one, what I did on day two, and then I'm rounding up with day three. Because so it was basically a journey that I was taking us through, and my wearing my expert lens as a trainer, as an expert in curriculum design and all these things that I get to do in the marketplace. Anybody who follows the journey from day one, day two, and day three, that person cannot remain the same in terms of being a person of impact, influence, and income. What I'm saying is that after this summit, how you are perceived, there's something called perceived value. The perceived value that your friends had about you, that your immediate community, even the perceived value in church. You see, one of the testimonies charisma you have after this is that there is a way the use of this church now are now behaving. Let the perceived value of the young people, of the youth in Hilltop Faith Church, let it change because of this summit. And let me tell you something, anytime your perceived value changes, you will be rewarded different. Let me show you a testimony. Something happened a few years ago in Douala. So on a Saturday, I did a training in Boya for young people. And those young people that young people, right? Young people don't have money to pay you well. So, those young people, they paid me about 30,000 francs for that training. And then that Saturday evening, somebody reached out to me from Douala that they have this team gathering for their company, and they need an expert to train on something. And they mentioned the topic, and it was almost similar to the same topic I trained in Boya on Saturday afternoon. So I said, yes, I'm available on Sunday evening to do the training for your team as part of your team building event. And then I trained the same thing. And guess what? I was paid more than 300,000 francs for about 1 hour of training. So I trained the same thing, the same idea, the same knowledge, the same strategies, the same trainer in the same country, different cities, but different audiences. One audience paid me 30,000 francs for the 1 hour. Another audience paid me 300,000 francs for the same 1 hour. What made the difference? You see, I trained a higher group of people that perceived my value different, and they paid me for the value I brought to the table. And that's one thing that knowledge should do to you. Anytime you acquire new knowledge, that new knowledge should improve your perceived value in the marketplace or around the people that you surround yourself with. So what are we saying here? One of the impacts of this training is that when you're done, there is a way that the way you think, the way you talk, the way you act, the projects you're working on should be able to change. And when they change, you will have a new perceived value around you. You see? So, for example, Papa and Mama should not notice that, hey, there's a way that the youth of Hilltop headquarters or various branches, there's a way they are behaving now. It's different. Let the perceived value that the leadership of the church have about you now begin to change because of the new knowledge you have developed. I never know why I'm going to this part, but it's not part of my training yet so far, but we just got there, right? But maybe it's for somebody, I believe so. It's for somebody that somebody needed to hear this. Let this training create some impact in you and let there be a shift in your life forever. So today, I want us to focus on what I've titled the societal navigation and differentiation strategy for dominion. Societal navigation and differentiation strategy for dominion. Let me explain why I believe this topic is important. And if anybody on this call right now, here on Zoom and on YouTube, why this is important. Why is societal navigation important? You see, if you look at your immediate environment now, the quarter or the neighborhood or the community where you live right now, if you look at it right now, you will notice that there is a particular way everybody is behaving, or majority they are behaving. There's a particular language that everybody is talking. There's a way they think. If you look at their income level, everybody is almost doing almost the same kind of job and earning almost the same kind of income. If you look at those who are alcohol driven, you look at they drink almost the same kind of drinks and they behave almost the same kind of way and all of that. And like I said earlier, the other day, you cannot lead your generation if you're doing the same thing your generation is doing. If you think, speak, act, behave, whatever, in the same way your generation or your community or your locality, the way they are behaving, you will end up like them, even though you have dreams to be better than them. So, one of the most important things that you can adopt and become good at as a young person, as a kingdom young person, is to be able to navigate the society around you, differentiate yourself, then you will stand out in terms of being a person of impact, influence, and income. So that's why I want us to talk about societal navigation and differentiation. If not, you will notice that you will grow up with ambitions and dreams. And for many of us here from the church setting, we have prophecies that we have received. And even though we have these prophecies, we have these dreams and ambitions that God has given us and visions, the society can keep us in that bondage of sameness, that bondage of fitting in, that bondage where you end up like everybody else at the end. But when you understand how to navigate that society and differentiate yourself, so you have when you understand how to navigate the society, then you can create your differentiation strategy. Then you can stand out and you will produce better results in career, business, ministry, finance, marriage, even, and any other thing that is important to you. And that's why one of the most important things that you can know how to do is what I call cultural disruption. Cultural disruption. Knowing how to disrupt the popular culture around you will change your life forever. Let's do a quick survey here on YouTube. Type in the comment section the popular culture around you that you see young people embody. Describe the most popular culture around you that you see. It's so pertinent. If you have never discovered that, then I'm worried about you. Then you are not discerning enough. But what's the popular culture you have seen around you? For example, maybe young people, when they grow up, they go to university, at the end, they're looking for a job, and they don't end up getting a job. Then they start a roadside business, they're burning fish, whatever. But what have you discovered? What is the pattern you have discovered around you? If you have never paid attention, then I can tell you that you will almost end up being the same like them. Because the culture you have not discovered will keep you in bondage. You cannot conquer the culture you have not discovered. Okay, young people all becoming bloggers. Yes, popular culture now. Who else? If you have never paid attention, type I've never paid attention. It's going to validate my training. If you have never paid attention, still comment. I have no idea. There are many popular cultures, right? Alcohol is a culture. It's only in Cameroon. clubbing or partying, social media addiction. It's a culture, right? But what have we discovered? Let me see if the guys on YouTube have something for me. Okay, somebody said young people learn new skills late. Okay, good, good. Young people getting kids before marriage, yes. Everyone becoming slave queen. All right. Now, those are popular cultures, right? If you will, you see, one of the things that changed my life was years ago, I said, what is every young person doing around me that I have to do the opposite? Then I'm going to beat the system. I looked at what everybody else is doing around me. I did the opposite. And I beat the system. That's why the Cameroon system could not keep me in bondage. But if you look at what everybody else is doing and you follow the same pattern ignorantly or consciously, the system will keep you in bondage, even though you're a prayerful person, even though you speak in tongues, even though you go to church every Sunday and every midweek service, even though they have given you prophecies. The spiritual has been sorted out. There's no witch keeping you in bondage. There's no family foundation fighting you again, but yet you're still broke and you're still nobody. Why? Because now what is keeping you in bondage is the cultural dispensation around you, and you have not made up your mind to break out that system. So one of the main things that I want you to pick up from today is that you need to live here with a mission to disrupt the culture around you. What every young person around me is doing, I have to beat that culture and introduce a higher culture. Like I always tell you guys, any strategy I train is Bible-based. Let me give you the Bible perspective of this, then I continue. Because I could teach you, we never know that it's Bible-based. Let me give you a Bible-based, where this my framework came from. Who remembers Peter and John going to the beautiful gates to go and pray at the hour of prayer? Who remembers that story? Type me in the chat box. If you know that encounter, type me in the chat box. In the book of Acts chapter 3. Now, there was a beggar at the beautiful gate, and the popular culture around him was that he would sit at the beautiful gate and people would come and he would beg money from them and they would give him money. That was the culture the beggar was going through. Then this one fateful day, two gentlemen, you can call them apostles, Peter and John, they were coming to this guy. And they met this guy, and this guy repeated the same culture, which was to ask for money, alms. It's a beggar, a crippled beggar. And as a crippled beggar, he lacked momentum and he could not participate in livelihood contributions that can bring money into his pocket. So he had to beg for money to gain some income. But that day, he met people that disrupted the culture that he was used to for years. He met two gentlemen, Peter and John, who disrupted his culture of begging by introducing a higher dimension of power and wisdom that changed his life forever. So you see, if you will stop being in bondage and being crippled financially, being crippled, momentum wise, because that guy was crippled momentum wise, his life was not moving forward because he was crippled. Number two, he was crippled financially because when you are not moving, you cannot make money because money follows speed. Never forget that. Money follows momentum. Anybody who is not carrying out any form of momentum in any way, you will be broke. Money follows relevant activities and momentum. So this beggar and this crippled guy, there was a culture around him that kept him in that bondage. Good for him. On this fateful day, Peter and John were going to the temple to pray. and they disrupted the existing culture, introduced something different, and his life changed. Well, so what I'm saying is that if you don't know how to navigate an existing culture and differentiate yourself. Now, Peter and John, others were coming and giving these guys money. But Peter and John differentiated themselves and introduced something that many people did not have. They said, such as I have, I give you. So it means that that beggar has been there for 30 years, maybe, and everybody is bringing and giving him what everybody has. So what the second lesson there is that if you have what everybody has, you will be in bondage like everybody else. You have to have something that the popular culture does not have. Like Peter and John, they had the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, and they were able to disrupt the culture of that young man. You see, you can only save your family if you bring a higher dimension of knowledge and power. If not, you will end up like your family. That's why if you're from a struggling family, one of the most important things you have to contend for is a higher dimension of wisdom, knowledge, and power. Then you can be able to liberate the family in any way. So the goal for today is to give you a 4-stage process that you can use to challenge and reshape your life by disrupting the popular culture around you. Because revolution does not begin by attacking culture. It begins by offering a superior alternative. Let me explain. You see, there are many young people that they focus on attacking the culture they grew up meeting, abusing people, abusing the government, abusing, there's a difference between abuse and advocacy, right? So we abuse, maybe some of them abuse their parents. We are broke because of you. Some have abused their leaders in one way or the other. You see, revolution of your life would never begin by attacking culture. People who abuse and attack and complain end up broke. Your life will begin to change. There will be a revolution in your life when you begin to offer a superior alternative to the culture you grew up meeting, like what Peter and John did. When they met the guy, the beautiful girl, they offered a superior alternative to what he knew, and his life changed. So change happens not only when people abandon the old ways of doing things. No, change happens when you introduce a new version of life. Then change happens. That's why you need to know how to navigate your society and then differentiate yourself. Then you will change the status of your life. You will change your influence and your finances and your career and your business. That's why I always say that anybody who has a superior solution does not criticize. That's why one sign of a true consultant, you never criticize. At best, you observe. See, sometimes they hire me in a company, I just go, and maybe the first 2 days, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to observe the entire process of the company. Because the goal is, if I know the existing culture that is old and not producing results, I'll be able to design a superior alternative and introduce and disrupt the culture there and change the life of that company. Like when Peter and John, when they saw that crippled guy, they knew that, hey, the culture here is that this guy is crippled and he's always begging for money. And we need to introduce a superior alternative. They did not criticize that guy. Do you see that? There's no scripture there. They not say, look at you, crippled, lazy, yeah, man. You look like one bouncer guy I know. They didn't say that. They didn't say that. But they looked at that and said, look at us. Focus your attention on my solution and I will change your life. That's what they were saying. Look at us. That was the 3 words were there. Go and read that scripture again. Look at us. And when the guy focused on a superior solution, his life changed. In other words, if you focus on what we have taught in the last 3 days, your life must change because we have been giving you a superior solution to advance your life. So when you want to change your life, you have to design new solutions and better solutions that can begin to circumvent or challenge your old ways of doing things. That's why nobody changes their life without challenging the old and introducing the new. Nobody. You cannot change your life. You hear me? Never forget this. Look at it. It's a simple law. The moment new knowledge begins to enter you, relevant new knowledge, one of the major things it must affect is your finances. What am I saying? If you're going to challenge your old ways of how money comes into your life, you have to introduce a better way of doing things, a new dimension of knowledge. So that's why we're talking today about societal navigation. So I'm trying to point you into these different areas so you can know how to navigate the society around you and introduce something different and change your life forever. You see, it is not everybody that the society can keep in bondage. It's not everybody. So the culture around you is a hidden operating system of the society. And if you submit yourself to that operating system, it will define your destiny forever. That's why you have to be cautious. So if you want to lead a better life, if you want to lead your family, you must not just challenge culture, but you have to offer a superior version of solutions, of ideas, and knowledge. It's very important. So, what are the 4 stages for you to follow to be able to influence culture around you and then change your life for good? 4 stages. So, I wanted to break things. If you notice, I'll do 4 steps, 4 stages, whatever, because it's important. So that I give you things that you can work with practically. Now, I am telling you, if everybody on this call right now, on YouTube and here on Zoom, if you understand what I'm about to teach you, there is no society that can keep you in bondage or keep you small or keep you as a victim. There is no way your finances can ever remain small. No way. There is no way you can be irrelevant again. No way. Because nobody gets this, implements it, and stays small in any area of your life. So you cannot stay small in your career, you cannot stay small in business, in finance, or whatever that you have been taught to do. Now, the first stage of navigating a society and being able to introduce a superior dimension of knowledge is what I call assimilation, understanding the existing culture deeply. So you can write assimilation in bracket, understanding the existing culture deeply. Assimilation, understanding the existing culture deeply. Now, follow me carefully, because these are practical things that everybody here should go and do after this summit. Now, what does that mean? It means that as a young person, you have to spend some time and study the history, the traditions, and the values that shape societal behavior or even your family behavior. You have to spend some time and study the history. For example, you see, this is one thing I did. You see, I started my career journey in Bansok, right, in Kumbo, in the land, in the beautiful, the best city in the world, Kumbo. Mhm. Better than New York, better than DC, better than Toronto, what have you, right? One thing I did was I had to study. The people in this tribe, the people in this city, where they are coming from, how do they grow up? So I basically knew that The people in this city, this is how they grew up, this is what they studied, this is what they learned, this is what builds their mentality. I had to spend time to do that because my mission was let me look at what builds them up and do the opposite. That's why when I was in Kumbo, I started reading 30 books a year while I was still in Kumbo. 2013, 12 decisions that I made because it was very clear. My people did not read books. So the culture they grew up with was the culture that raised them. And if culture raised 1,000 of you, then 1,000 of you must behave the same because you can never behave beyond what you know. And you can never produce result in career, business, and finance beyond what the culture taught you. That's why we look at people that stay in the same society. 99% have almost the same income level. They have the same poverty problems. They have the same educational challenges. They think almost the same because the same culture raised them. So if you are going to be different, I want to challenge you, spend time to study the history of your environment where you live and also your family. Spend time to study the history of your family. What kind of culture, what kind of knowledge, what kind of things raised the people in your family? For example, your mom and your dad, your uncles and your aunties is important for your destiny. If not, you will repeat the same things they did and produce the same result they produced. They live life based on what they knew at their best. We celebrate them, we love them, but you cannot repeat and learn the same things they learn. If not, you will produce the same result they produce. This is critical for destiny. The next thing is study traditions. Traditions is what are the traditional ways of living that the people around you embody? For example, Cameroon, it is like a tradition that if you want to have a nice meeting, there must be a bottle of beer standing in front of us. It's a tradition. It's tradition, right? Like, for example, in our high school days in Bamenda, there were some particular nightclubs that were ringing in Bamenda at the time. And it's like a tradition that every young person must go to nightclub Friday night. There'll be ladies' night, champagne night. You see all kind of nights, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Tradition. And they repeat the same cycle week after week after week after week. Study the tradition that destroys people around you and beat the tradition. You will rise. Because if you repeat the same tradition, if you look around you now, in your life right now, there are traditions that you have copied now from your environment that tradition is keeping you in bondage right now. That very tradition is keeping you in bondage. So in every society, there is history, there are traditions, and there are values that shape the societal behavior of those people. And if you allow the same history to shape you, you allow the same traditions to shape you, you allow the same values to shape you, I guarantee you, your career will be like theirs, your finances will be like theirs, and your destiny will be like theirs. And then you go to church as a young person, and you go to church on Monday, on Sundays and Wednesdays, and you pray, Father, bless me, Father, bless me, Father. And God is like, hey, the history and the traditions and the values of your society are keeping you and limiting me from blessing you. Because as a Christian, you don't live life based on the traditions of the society. No, you live life based on the kingdom patterns and kingdom knowledge. That's why God had to say that we need to renew our minds, abandon the traditions, abandon the values, abandon the history, then live according to the Bible patterns and kingdom patterns that will move in your life and there will be a breakthrough. But as long as you are praying in tongues and the history, the traditions, and the values of your immediate society keeps you in bondage, you will limit the blessing of God around you. You now see why many Christians are broke? You now see why? I bet you any serious believer here This is hitting somebody so hard. So you will not see, this is why I've been praying so hard. And sometimes I begin to blame God. Wait, my God is no. You see, one of the best ways the enemy keep people in bondage is to make you feel that God is not faithful to answer your prayers. Meanwhile, God is so faithful that we are the ones limiting, because this spirituality is divinity plus humanity coming together. So I am teaching you now the humanity part that if you don't do, God will be so faithful, but yet you cannot see the faithfulness in your life. Because instead of living according to the traditions of the kingdom, you are living according to the traditions of your immediate society. And God says, no, that is not the way. You got the programming wrong. When you repent and say, Jesus Christ is my Lord and personal Savior, your next immediate strategy is adopt the traditions, the values, the ways, and the wisdom of the kingdom. Then the blessings are going to flow. So, before you can change your life, before you can change your finances, before you can change your career, you must first understand how the society that you grew up in is functioning and how it has kept you in bondage, and then break out of that lane. Then you're going to succeed. Because you cannot change what you only hate. You see, there are people that hate the society that they grew up in, but they don't understand the society. You see, your hate is not good enough. But when you understand it, then you will change it. There are some hidden codes that you have developed when you grew up in your family, in your community, that is keeping you in bondage now. You have to beat those codes and introduce a higher programming. So spend some time, go and decode the why people behave the way they behave, why you copied what they were doing. And your next mission is, how can you do the opposite? How do you get your code of, how did I get my code of living? How do I get my code of living now? It's always the word. And then the people that I'm able to do 10 times better than what I'm doing now. Then I get those and I reprogram my traditions, my values, my habits after that. So stage one, understand the existing culture around you deeply, because you cannot confront what you don't understand. You cannot confront what you don't understand. If you're ready for stage two, write stage two in the chat box and on YouTube. If you're ready for stage two, write stage two. I want to be sure that we're getting and we're here. Good, I see stage two. Now, stage two is one of my favorites. And this is where it's a long-term battle. And when you conquer stage two, your breakthrough, there is, like they gather witch doctors from India and sangomas from Nigeria, from South Africa, and bring them together. When you conquer stage two, they cannot stop you. You're gone. And stage two, you can spend like 5 years or 2 years or 3 years in stage two, depending on how much you are willing to labor to enter that rest. Right? Stage two, what you can call contrarian positioning. Contrarian positioning. You have to go contrary. Position yourself contrary to what you have discovered in stage one. You can put in brackets, creating a clear differentiation for yourself. Creating a clear differentiation for yourself. For example, your mission here is you specifically identify what are the parts of the culture, what are the habits of the culture around me, what are the traditions of the culture around me that limit growth and destiny manifestation. Very important. What are the culture around me? What are the parts What are the, habits around me that limit growth and destiny manifestation? Because your goal is you want to challenge that culture and introduce, because you are not taking a contrary position. For example, the culture could be that young people around me between the ages of 35 and downward, a popular culture that is so prevalent around them is they spend a lot of time on social media, not because they are branding experts, not because they're social media experts, not because they are new media journalists, but they spend a lot of time on social media to rant, to comment, and to impress people about money that they do not have. And at the same time, they do alcohol, they do a lot of movies and hangouts. So you now study that in all of this culture that the young people between the age of 35 and downward, what they're doing is you will notice that there is nothing of value that can enhance your ability to create value so they can get paid. Because in the marketplace, you get paid by the value you bring to the marketplace. And you look at those activities, there is nothing that creates value that they do. So you have now identified these moving parts in the culture. Stage two now challenges you to take a contrary positioning and adopt different sets of moving parts. And that's okay. Seeing this is what they're doing, mine is that from today now, I will now read one book a month. So when they go out to when the time they go and hang out to drink and chat, I will take that same time and read a relevant book in my industry. Because you now understand that when your mental intelligence increases, your ability to create value will increase and you will get paid more. It may not be immediate, but someday you will get paid more. You see, I have been paid for a day to speak and do stuff, multi-millions. But the first part of my life, I spoke for the first 1 year of my life, and nobody paid me a franc. The first time I was paid was with a bottle of Fanta in a Baptist church youth conference. After speaking, they gave me Fanta. That means the first time I spoke somewhere and somebody gave me something in return for speaking, they gave me Fanta. It was a Baptist church in Jakiri. I never forget. A Baptist church in Jakiri. And it was a youth conference. And that happened for 1 year straight. Nobody ever gave me anything in return for speaking. But I knew that God gave me the gift and the teaching grace, teaching anointing. I just knew that this was my calling. I knew it. And by that time, 2011, 12, I didn't know that there was something called professional speaking, consulting, coaching. I had no idea because internet was not as loud as it is now in Kumbu then, right? So, but I just knew. But I took a contrary positioning to what every young person around me was doing. So you need to take a contrary positioning. And your contrary positioning is simple. The things that the people around me are doing that does not enhance their ability to create value, I refuse to do them, and I take a contrary position and I pick those things that can create value for me, and I begin to do that. So, okay, you know what? You're going to read books. You're going to start going to networking events. So when they're going clubbing, you look for conference and seminars to attend. Contrary positioning. When they're thinking of what to buy, you start thinking of what can I create? So you shift now from consumption to contribution. Contrary positioning. The goal of stage two, and stage two can take you 5 years to enter. Because when you will start, it will be difficult. You know why? Because you want to change 15 years of culture in few weeks. For example, don't be shy, but I'm going to ask the question, but don't be shy. If you are here and you don't remember the last time you read a book completely, a relevant book completely, type me in the chat box. If you are on YouTube, type me in the chat box. Like in the last 15 years, or last 10 years, or last 5 years, you have never read a relevant book in your industry that if you know the things in that book, it will help you to be more valuable and even make more money as a professional. Type me in the chat box. Don't be shy. Type me. I used to be there too. Nobody started from the top. We all start from the bottom. Okay, I see me there. I see me. Now, I want to give an example. Let's say you have not done that in the last 10 years, for example. You see, if you decide today that you want to start reading at least 1 hour a day, your human analogy, your human system will fight it because you are going contrary to a 15 years culture, your body is used to it. To a 30 years culture, your body is used to it. That's why stage 2 is important, because you are doing things now that are contrary to what you are used to doing. So your body will try to fight you, like fight you so bad, because your body will be like, it will be paining, your mind will be fighting it and all of that. But that is normal. Don't give up, because if you give up, you're giving up on destiny, and you're making up your mind that I choose to be like everybody else in my society. Because remember, you are taking the contrary position and adopting a superior way of doing things so it can bring in superior results, superior ideas or solutions, so you can get superior results. Because it's a simple formula for me. You need to take a superior position and begin to do superior things so you can gain superior results. The challenge is that many people imagine superior results, but they don't want to take a contrary position and begin to do superior things. But they pray for superior results. Like I always tell people in church, the God pattern is that capacity goes first before blessings and breakthroughs. It's a simple spiritual fact that many believers don't want to hear. Many believers want to meet the man of God. Papa, lay hands. Boom, 10 million francs in your bank account. Or the next day appears to you. No, God does not work like that. It's either a demon or it's Satan. Even when you look at the demonic model, they also look for this for people that have capacity before they use them. They don't use, I always say, look, if you're a fool, you are useless to God, you are useless to the enemy. Another fact that people don't want to hear. They will not say, "Oh, God equips the call. God equips the call." That's the most misused, misaligned, misappropriated statement in the body of Christ. God equips the call. Is misused. God equips you. You see, God equipped me with a teaching mantle, teaching grace. I know it. But you see, it will remain dormant and maybe useless if I don't step up and pay the price to take the human responsibility. So for him to equip, he equips with the grace, the anointing, the wisdom, divine wisdom, all of that, which is good. But now all of those will be dormant, very, very dormant, if I don't take the human responsibility and step up to build capacity to meet what he has provided in the spirit realm. Right? So you have to get this right. So instead of arguing about the culture you grew up to meet, build new patterns to disrupt that culture. Introduce superior ideas. Because I have learned that real disruption, what do I mean? If your finances have been the same in the last 10 years, the last 5 years, and this is a very, very popular thing among human beings, where they can have the same financial life in the last 10 years and 5 years. If there's an addition in their yearly income, it's like 10,000 francs, 20,000 francs. Nothing changes. And the challenge is that is ignorant. They don't know how to do it. But you see, if you're going to disrupt your finances and double it by 2 or double it by 3, it happens by you taking a contrary positioning and then introducing superior ideas into your life. Then you can change your finances. Because, like I always say, money is a consequence. Never forget this law. Money is always a consequence. Money is a slave to something. Until many people understand this about money, they will always live hand to mouth. Money is a slave, money is a consequence. But you see, the enemy wants you to see money as a master. That's the point. And the day you keep seeing money as a master, money will rule you and you will never have enough of him. Have you ever seen, for example, ever seen slaves having more of their master? No, nah. The day money is your master, you will never have enough of money. Never. You will always be broke because your master, as far as the world is concerned, your master will rule over you. It's a simple law. So, one of the fastest ways to shift your finances is your mindset about money. From today, there was a time in my life I repeated, I had to believe in myself. Money, you are my slave. Money, you are my slave. There are some things that when you reach out to me, I say, no, I'm not doing it. And I'll give you my own time. If you don't want to, it's okay. It's not about that opportunity. It's about, I have to have a more spiritual authority over money at all times. You are my slave. You come to me, I don't come to you. Because one of my laws about money is that there is no amount of money on earth that replaces my time with God. No amount. There was a time I used to be to the charisma in Obili Church. I don't know if you can remember, but there was the last time that happened was in Douala where I was being paid to come speak in a country. And I always make sure that if I'm traveling, it should not be the day that there's church service or there is midweek service. It's always a law. So they were booking my flight one time, and I was supposed to come back into the country Wednesday night. And I told the guys, look, this flight is conflicting with something very important. So either spend more money and make sure I get back to Cameroon on or before 3 p.m. Because my law is that if I'm when I was in Cameroon, if I'm working in the office, I don't take meetings on Wednesdays or anything on Wednesdays after 3 p.m. One of my laws. Because from 3 p.m. to 5, I need to start preparing for church. And I'm a minister in church, so it's very important. Sundays, I don't care if you're paying me 1 million francs, 10 million francs, it's a problem. If it's not something after 4 p.m., I am not interested. You see, when you know your source, some things become non-negotiable. You see, I know who made me. I know what made me. And you see what I'm telling you? It's a law till today, like in the last 80 years that I had this revelation. It's a law. There is nothing on earth except I get a go ahead, I go. This is it. Good. You see, for this day, go. And I'm led by the Spirit. And I move. When you take a contrary, why was I saying that? So that you see that. You see, money, I am not a slave to money. Money is a slave to me. The day you make it doesn't matter what you have, even if you are broke. It's a state of being. And that's why billionaires keep getting richer. Millionaires keep getting richer. You know why? Because they operate from this state of being. I make the money. The money does not make me. That's why they're billionaires that no amount of debt, no amount of failure moves them. One billionaire told me one time, Joy, but I made the money. It doesn't matter. I will remake it again, and even better. Money is a slave to him. Did he lose billions? Yes. But money is a slave to him. So you need to take a contrarian positioning. Very important. Because real disruption only happens by solving what culture has made popular over your life. Real disruption happens by breaking out of what your family members, your community, your friends have normalized. I am telling you this. If you keep doing what everybody else around you have normalized, you will keep producing the same result like that. So taking a contrarian positioning is critical for your destiny manifestation. Number three, stage three. Stage three, messaging. Messaging. Like to send a message, WhatsApp message, messaging. Messaging. Now, the goal here is to reframe the narrative that you now communicate. Because the supernatural is voice activated. You see, what you say and the kind of messaging around you is very important. You can never differentiate yourself if you sound the same way like the people in your community. You can never produce results the same way if your messaging is the same like everybody around you. So what you produce as messaging is very important for wealth creation. It's very important for influence and impact. For example, you see, the only reason, or one of the major reasons that the people hire me and other speakers, for example, to come and speak in their event, to speak to their audience, is that the people have a superior messaging that they bring to the people. You see, nobody will sit and listen to me for 1 hour, 2 hours, even 3 hours, if I am not bringing superior messaging that can disrupt their thinking pattern and the quality of their results. So you will not successfully navigate your society and differentiate yourself if your messaging is not the same. If you don't have a superior messaging that can reprogram the culture around you. Because your messaging must start challenging the existing normalized culture. Then you will start standing out. And you can start being a person of impact, influence, and income. They begin to use more superior and more powerful narratives to introduce a new way of thinking and a new way of doing things. Why is this important? Because minds change through properly communicated ideas. Your mind will change when you begin to communicate better ideas. And what you say to yourself is very important. That's why reprogramming is so powerful. It will shift you and the people around you. So change your messaging after this. Let your messaging about success, your messaging about money, your messaging about anything, even relationships, your messaging about who you are and where you're going to, let your messaging change. Let me share a funny testimony. I was standing at my 17th park. That time I was living in Boya and I was taking the VIP bus to go to Yaoundé to go speak in an event. And then this woman just came very early in the morning. I don't know what happened. I think that the guys who are loading the bus charged her more or something. And then she said, we did suffer for the country. Oh. There and there, I counteract her. Now only you, I not did it. You want to suffer are not there for, because you see, what you permit and you don't reject and you don't renounce is a seed. And the more that seed is in you, that seed limits the move of God. I'm telling you. That's why God said, I can do exceedingly abundantly above all that you say or think. And the thinking pattern is programmed by what you keep hearing. So what you hear that is contrary to what you did in stage 2, and you don't challenge, will bring you back to stage 1. So that's why your messaging is very important, and what you hear is important. What you hear as messaging and what comes out of you as messaging is important. Now, our Lord Jesus Christ said this in a more profound way. He said that what defies a man is not what a man eats. He said it is what comes out of a man that defies a man. My goodness. The first day I saw that scripture, I repented and I repented again from the quality of my words and what I say. You see, what comes out of you can defile you or enhance your destiny. What is the quality of your messaging? Stage 4, and then we'll round up. Stage 4, what I call embedded influence. To embed something, right? Embedded influence. Embedded influence. Put in brackets, making your idea the new normal, or making the new you the new normal. Making your idea the new normal. You see, there was a time in Combo, there was a time I trained about, I think it was about productivity and something. And one guy told me that these things you're teaching does not work in a black man. It does not work here. All of that. Because at that time in Kumbo, I was the only one I knew at the time. And it's not a big town, so it was easy to know. And that's why the work I was doing easily spread around. Like there's one guy trying to train something, and I'll go and train things that they were basic, but people did not understand. They saw it as it's too abstract. My first ever speaking engagement publicly in Kumbo was on time management. And the people did not understand why is it important to manage time well. That's serious. But this guy told me, and then I replied that, you see, what I'm teaching you will take me around the world. I don't know why I said that, but I just said it. I did not premeditate it. I did not assume it. I did not plan it. But when he told me that what you are training does not work here for Black people, I now replied and I said, the things I am teaching you will take me around the world. It just came out like, you see, and that's why, you see, what you say out of the blue is what you've been keeping inside of you. And I just said it like that, and then boom. Unfortunately, the guy is still in the same place, right? Because, you see, you can never produce results beyond what is inside of you. It's a simple law. Simple law. Capacity goes first before breakthroughs. The day your capacity begins to change, breakthroughs begin to come. Right? So embedded influence, in other words, making your idea the new normal, making the new you the new normal. For example, in day 1 and day 2 and day 3, I have taught you guys so many profound and practical things that are so valuable that if anybody deploys them, their life can never remain the same. But you have to take this. This is my new state of being. And I'm going to maintain this newness. This newness is going to become my new normal. Don't start for 2 weeks and then go back to your old self. The old result will come back to you. You have to come to a point where everything you have been learning and the new decisions that you are making, they become the new state of living for you. It's very important because consistency in the right things is the currency of success. Show me anybody who is able to maintain consistency in relevant things and relevant habits, relevant routines. Their results will be consistent. Many people rise and fall because they abandon the consistent things that took them to the top, and then they start falling. You see, personally for me, I have things that are constant to me. Constant. For right now, there are four things that I've done the same thing almost every day in the last 12 years. One of them is reading. It's a personal law. Lowest, every day I must read 1 hour of content every day. And I've done the same thing almost for 10 years. Even when I'm traveling, it's more easier. I even read more. I get 2 books and I begin to devour them on a flight, on a car, wherever. Because the more you get new knowledge, the more things begin to expand for you as a person. It's a simple law. Simple law. So you need to make the new things you're gaining your new normal. Don't start for 2 weeks and then stop. No, it should become your new normal. Because I always say that somebody who is truly thinking, if you experience the benefits of a superior alternative, it should become your new culture. Let me say it again. If you experience the benefits of a superior alternative, it should become your new culture. You see, one of my friends in Nigeria shared a funny story of him where the first time he entered a flight, and before then he used to travel to other states by car. Not like in Yaoundé, Douala, you will take maybe 4 hours, 5 hours, or Yaoundé, Bamenda, sometimes the whole night, not sometimes the whole night, right? And then the day you take flight, the same journey that will take you 12 hours overnight or 6 hours overnight, whatever, to travel, you now travel the same journey in 3 hours or 2 hours or 45 minutes or whatever, with less stress, great care, some good food, maybe, and some good drinks, whatever that they give you on the flight. If you experience the benefit of that superior travel model, and you don't challenge yourself to become the new normal to you, the new culture to you, there is something wrong with your thinking pattern. So it's the same like if you listen to things like this, day one, day two, and now day three, and you see that, hey, there are benefits attached to the superior ideas and alternatives that Joybird has been teaching us. And you don't make up your mind that these things that they have taught me must become my new culture, my new normal. Because for you to beat that culture that you grew up seeing, you have to stand on a higher culture. The only way to beat that culture that keeps people in bondage around you is for you to adopt a new culture and stand on that culture and never back down as far as that new culture is concerned. So you need to come to a point where you normalize this new culture. Because the only way that the weak culture or the old culture or the inefficient way of life around you cannot keep you in bondage is that you stand on a higher culture, on a new, better culture that you have developed for yourself. Because relevance and results are products of superior culture. Never forget it. For you to be more relevant and produce more results, these are products of you adopting a new culture. You see, the only way that I could be able to produce better results as a young person in Cameroon or in Kumbu at the time was to stand on a superior culture that can generate superior results. So it's very important. Challenge yourself from today. Make up your mind. I am going to adopt better knowledge, better processes, better outcomes. Make up your mind. I am tired. My last 30 years, the age group here could be between 35 downward. But if you're 25, make up your mind. The last 15 years, before I started having sense, the last 15 years have not produced results for me the way I want. If you're 30, the last 20 years, or the last 15 years, the last 10 years, they have not made sense. to me. I have to adopt a better culture. You have to come to that recognition that the culture I grew up with in my family, that culture has not served my destiny better. The culture I grew up in my town, in my country, Cameroon, that culture has not served me better. Therefore, I must adopt a higher culture, higher routines, higher habits, and I must make it the new normal, even if people laugh. Do you know how many people used to laugh at me? There was sometime in Kumu that anywhere I go, I'll have a book in my hand. The guys will laugh at me. This guy, you want to show us in a way? And because I was trying to fight something, like you just know that there's something keeping you. There is a force keeping you. You just know it, and that the only way to cut through this force, you have to do something that you have never done before. Something you have never done before. As I round up, don't forget this. Breakthroughs happen when you become uncomfortable with your old ways and introduce new, better ways. That's my last statement I'm making. Let me say it again. Breakthroughs, career, finance, money, business, even marriage, whatever. Breakthroughs in any area of your life that is important to you. Breakthroughs only happen the day you become uncomfortable, you become tired of the old ways, of the old culture around you, and you make up your mind, because I have received this new knowledge in this summit, I am introducing a higher dimension of culture so that my results and my life can become different. Like I always say, hope is hopeless without action. If you hear all of these things for 3 days and you just take on hope, hope is not a strategy. Hope will not change your life. It is execution based on what you have heard that changes your life. And I always speak against knowledge obesity. And Christians are the oga pata pata of knowledge obesity. Midweek service, they will take notes. Sunday service, they will take notes. 12 months after, they are the same. They are the same. Majority of Christians. Knowledge obesity is the acquisition of knowledge, and you are not putting it to use. You are not experimenting, and you're not seeing better results. That is knowledge obesity. You have to overcome knowledge obesity by putting to use everything that you are learning. Thank you so much. I can take a few questions and then we call it done. Awesome. If you're on YouTube and you have questions, type in the comment section and I will read them and answer them as much as we can. In the next 10 minutes, we can take questions if there are any. If not, all right, we can call it a done deal.
Ooh, that was intense. I have to clap, like really clap before anything else. My goodness. Hmm. So everybody, I don't want to say anything after this because one thing I learned from doctor from day one, is it day two, was that relevant knowledge is useless without execution. So right now I'm just challenged to execute. So I don't want to be saying anything because I want to believe that everybody's at that place, is at that state right now. So if you have a question or any worry and you need clarity on it, you need broader knowledge on it, just ask your question now. Unmute your microphone, say hello and ask your question so that doctor can respond in the next few minutes and then we will be done.
So ask your questions. If you are on YouTube, ask your questions. No questions? All right. It seems there are no questions, so that's fine. So I had the best student so far. So when students don't ask questions, it means that they have over understood. So
Good.
we are waiting for results. Okay. Awesome. So thank you
I'm
all so
sure
much.
that I'm actually very sure that everybody is instead very challenged because I'm battling with questions, but I don't even know where to start asking. You see, because I'm more challenged with the knowledge that I have received. And I just feel the need to start executing because I feel like from this point, I just have to be able to deploy the knowledge I have received and I will get results.
Yes.
Yes, which if I fail at some point, I will learn from them. And the question that I was going to be asking, I will be getting answers why I am executing.
Yes. Yes.
So I want to believe that, yes, we are more challenged because the kind of knowledge that you have dished out to us, I have not heard anything like this before in my life. Just like you said from the beginning, if we go to Google, we are not going to find what you are teaching us. It is the truth. And from here, anybody's life can scale to the next level. I believe that strongly. So I would I would say on behalf of everybody that we are more challenged and we just want to execute from here because the kind of feedback that I get every time after your teaching tells me that people are challenged. They want to work. They want to just, yes, they want to deploy the knowledge that they have received from you. Like they want it to start instantly. The other day, Kendra said that she cannot sleep, that she feels like she's looking for a university already to go and become a lecturer there because she wants to be able to pass out what she has received. She feels like there is need for execution to start.